Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Wiley here, your favorite information scientist. I'm calling this Friday updates or just updates in my journey. I'm a information science PhD candidate, a librarian, and I use the Wiley Report to talk about my life as an information science PhD candidate and anything and everything in between. How y'all do? How y'all feel? It's the Friday before Memorial Day weekend. I think I've had a lot this week. I'm just getting back to Illinois from Georgia. My mother is doing much better. She got cleared by her doctors. She has, PT. Um, yeah, she's in on PT today, and she's back to doing her thing. She picked up my brother yesterday because I left Georgia yesterday, 3 planes, and I was here by 6. Praise God for that, because there were no delays, no issues. So I'm grateful for that. This weekend, I'm planning to spend time with my wife and maybe head to Chicago and wander around, hang out with a fellow friend I reached out to that lives there. So we'll see. But that's not tough. I don't know. I don't really think I have a tentative plan yet, because in the original plan, I think we were gonna go on Sunday. I don't know if that's still the plan. I'll find out for my wife in a little while. But anyway, I am up and I was doing some cleaning, some laundry, getting some groceries. I'm getting ready to go tackle this grass because it looks like a forest out there. I did it at one point in my life. I've hired people, but that got a bit much because it got expensive, and then I got behind. And then I found another company, and it kind of got expensive, and I used them less. And then I tried to find this one company, but they pretty much were like, yeah, we'll come by and look. And they never really did. So I can't blame it. Every business is different and varied. I wouldn't say mowing companies suck. I've had a lot of going on. So trying to handle things and just dealing with life. Adulting. I feel like there should be a book that's called This Is Not an Handbook. How do you deal with aging parents? How do you deal with handling things? Because like I said, when I got the lawn company the first time, it was mostly because my dad had just died. I wasn't here. And I think that's too what I'm coming up on as far as like my emotions and thoughts, because today is the 22nd and it'll be 5 years today. So, is it how life I thought it would be? No, because I didn't want my dad to live just to caretake for my mom, but I just wanted him to have a long life. But you learn in life, there's no way to control that. There's no way that I can control, my mother and my brother's experiences. I can just hope that they're doing well. There's no location that I can be in to control anything. Doesn't matter if I lived near where they stay or far. They have autonomy in their body and their spirits, and life is varied and multifaceted. 2 people can have the same experience and still be different. You know what I'm saying? When you say what you mean, I was thinking about like how my mother's older sister had the same knee surgery that my mother had, but their mobility is completely different. Even though my mother's older sister is older. I don't know, healing in itself in the body. When I left here on the 1st to head there, I didn't know what to expect, other than the fact that I knew I had talked to my mom and she was talking about surgery options and a self-corrective procedure. They were trying to decide, and they went with the self-corrective procedure. So they didn't have to cut her deep, and she didn't have to have wound care. It could have gone another way in any situation. My mother is also 75, so, and my brother will be turning 40 in December. So, what can you say? I'm grateful that they were doing okay, that he has, caretakers that help him. That in itself has been an experience, because I think the challenge now that my mother is facing is finding someone to help in the mornings. She has an evening person Friday through Monday, but she needs a morning person. And the person that she did have, her last day was probably maybe a week ago while I was there. And she had barely been there a month. And I understand people in jobs, if it's not what you want, or you find something better, or you just decide I don't want to do it. Make your own decisions about that. It's just thinking about, like, how does that relate to care, and not just the care that she was responsible for, because she stopped doing the job for whatever reason, and she's allowed to do that. We get to choose. We get to decide about our lives. Just thinking about, like, well, what does that mean for what company that my mother should choose, or how does it work, and learning that system in itself and how it's long. And grateful that my mother is not just waiting on people, or you need somebody to help you get up out of the bed, or my brother needs like round the clock care, because that in itself, the process for getting someone else is a process. And I just wish it was a better way to do it. And I'm not saying that because I'm not there, or because this relates to what I want to do or don't want to do. I'm just saying, when people have the resources to get help, it just seems like it's a challenge to even get the help that they need. And I don't know, it's wild out here for caring and thinking about, well, how does long-term care look when you think about people are aging, or people that might have caring needs, whether it's short-term or long-term. And I think in the case of my brother, it's maybe an hour and a half worth of work, if that, because he's pretty self-sufficient. He can mostly put his clothes on, his shirt and stuff. He needs some help, but he can do the most of it. He feeds himself. He's the coolest Capricorn on earth. And then he tends to himself after he eats. He's like, peace, thanks for everything. Outside of the school that he goes to for, varying disabilities that he goes to 3 days a week, or 4 sometimes, he chills. But just figuring out what type of care and how that looks moving forward in the long term as they both are aging. I think my ultimate point in that long-winded ass story was, how do you build them a deeper bench of long-term support, because even finishing school and everything, I'll still be working. So I'm not retired. And also shout out to all the caregivers who do it full time. That's a lot. Sending so much support to those that do it every day, all day, 365, 24/7, and those that have the best caregivers in the world, and those that are struggling to find that, for sure. What else I got today? I also meet with my committee. I meet with my committee at 3 o'clock on Zoom to talk about my dissertation. I submitted on May 9th at 1:44 in the morning. My committee has seen chapters 1 through 4 since probably November. And I have been editing and revising chapters 1 through 4. They had not seen chapters 5, 6, and 7, because realistically 5, 6, and 7 didn't exist until March. So on May 9th at 1:44, they got the revisions to chapter 1, 3, and 4, 5, 6, and 7, the appendices that included the interview questions, as well as the code books for analyzing the interviews, as well as analyzing the podcast episodes. Chapter 2 was the literature review, and I revised 2.7 to 2.13 next sections. I'm examining Black trans men's digital information practices. So my literature review is a mix of information science as well as queer and trans history. So I feel like my literature review has hands, because it has been tough to figure out how to shape it. Because each section in itself, queer history, trans history, are dissertations in their own right, without even adding digital information practices to it. It is. So it's kind of like you have mini dissertations within a dissertation. And then figuring out how to wrap the information practices around it has been, and what is information has been the challenge of as well as also learning how information science cites things, because I'm a long practicing librarian in engineering, and in the engineering publications that I publish, you put the citations at the end, not at the topic. So it's like, oh man, learning how to cite it, and then also learning how to synthesize information, because it's not a book report. It's like you're synthesizing the information of what they said, and then the gap that you see, and learning to do that over and over and over again. Yeah, that's how I feel like the literature review has hands. And if it's a fight, some fights I have absolutely lost, and other fights I live to see another day. So yeah, so really interested in seeing what they say about those 103 pages. I have two people. My advisor is Korean adoption and children's literature. That's not what I study. And the second person, they study LGBTQ plus people, but more like queering the archive type things. And here I am talking about interviews and technology together, which pretty much makes me a unicorn. Yeah. Yeah. And my outside community members know exactly what I'm talking about, because everyone is in digital studies. And the other one studies LGBTQ plus people in gender women's studies themselves. But they won't read my dissertation until these two people read them. So there's that. Yeah. What else I learned? I learned that I didn't get accepted for this conference for Association of Internet Research. I was sad about that, because I really wanted to go. I had a good time when I went the first time in 2023, just to see what it was like. And I had hope by participating on this panel that it will work out. It seemed like my paper and there were 4 papers in the panel. My paper was the end paper. So they wrote the review of the paper. It seemed like one of the reviewers was like, yeah, I think this could work. And then the other reviewer was like, you ain't answer this. You ain't you. And it wasn't just my work that they were talking about. They were talking about the middle 2 papers. Because they said the first paper and the fourth paper, which the fourth paper was mine, were the anchors. But they didn't understand the 2 and the second and third papers. So it was like, and I think it wasn't that they didn't understand the second and third paper. Their concern was, how do all of these papers talk together? And I think that's a bit hard to do, because we did not, in the group, I did not see their abstracts beforehand. If I had, then maybe I could have added how my paper talks to what they're saying, but I didn't see it. And I think the lead person, he was on sabbatical. So you're learning not a new system, but working with different people that you don't know, because none of those people are people that are at my institution. But we do study digital studies. But in the good news, I got accepted to go to the American Studies Association that's in Chicago. So yay, I got accepted to talk twice there. So I'm grateful for that. And Association of Internet Research, maybe another time. My advisor wants me to go to ALICE, which is the Association of Library Information Science Education. I've been there before. I did submit a poster. I think I'm hesitant because it's in New York. It's not anything against New York. There was 2 faculty that gave problematic responses to my poster last year, and they're both at that institution. One of them called it DEI work, and Black trans men are not DEI work. I don't have time to tell you why it's not. I'll do another video to talk about that. But after, I don't remember their name, but I remember where they were from. And I was like, the conference is there. I don't want to go just because my petty is high. But they won't be the only university there. And it is Association of Library Information Science Education is a great conference. I've never had an issue with them. I've been going to that conference since 2023. And it's always been a nice time. It's just those 2 people in my work. And, the world we live in, people say the quiet part out loud now. They're very emboldened to tell you to your face that either A, they think this is DEI work, or they're asking you, what is the significance? Why should we care? And while I do think that the latter comment you should always be able to answer, I think it's how people say that to you. And the second person that said that to me, he was on that sauce. And you said, what you mean? I mean, they had the bar out, and the bar was right across from my poster. So I'm not judging you. I'm just saying I didn't have the bandwidth to deal with that person. I really didn't. I was like, I don't know. Let him keep on going. Maybe he's gonna go on back to the room and lay it down. I don't know, but I don't have time to answer that. But the DEI work was like, what? This is not DEI work. What are you talking about? We had such a nice conversation before that, because she had talked to me about how her students ask about this issue, or ask about, trans individuals and information practices, and she's never really been able to talk to it. And I volunteered to come talk to her class. Why did I do that? Because I talked with my advisor, and that's what we did. We had people that talk about specific topics. I'm like, yeah, sure, gave her my card, like, sure, anytime, I'll come talk about it. So I'm like, I thought that was at least the nicest thing that could happen. It's like, maybe or maybe not. I at least offered, and the conversation was pleasant. And then she was like, oh, are you on the job track? And I was like, yeah. She was like, oh, well, it's hard out there now. And this is DEI work anyway. I was like, I stopped talking, because in my mind, I was thinking, get away from my poster. Anyway, I'm sorry. That was unhinged. That's why I don't let my inner thoughts win. And shout out to my therapist, who keeps me out of the back of that car. Both of them. But what are you supposed to do with these posters? Because people can say whatever, and you're in a professional environment. It's work, it's whatever. And then you're like, go away, lady. Go away. Anyway, thanks for listening to me ramble for 16 minutes. I got to go cut this grass. Be easy. Have a good day. Take care of yourself. Remember that you matter, that you're amazing. And thanks for listening. Bye.